Dear parents, this COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And pushy parents make their kids smarter, happier, healthier. According to a research, parents who fill their children's free time with activities are bringing them lifelong benefits. It is found that children who engage themselves in good other than school activities are happier, healthier, and brainier. An unprecedented coalition of 110 experts backed by the Archbishop of Canterbury. They said that childhoods are being lost as children were sucked into a fast-moving, hyper-competitive culture. Our research shows that children who take part in organized activities benefit developmentally, said the lead researcher, Dr. Joseph Mahoney of the Yale University. Such children are healthier, judging from their academic performances and indicators of psychological and emotional well-being and self-esteem, as well as their lack of use of cigarettes, alcohol and drugs, and their parent-child relationships. They are more competent than other children. They are better adjusted, less prone to antisocial behaviors, such as dropping out of school, getting arrested, or substance abuse, and they function better in their classrooms. Kids who kept up a schedule of classes such as sports, drama, and music were found to achieve more impressive exam results and stand a much better chance of staying at school than peers who did none. So spend good time with your family, especially with your kids. Jai Swami Narayan, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav Ki Jai. Dear parents, this COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. Make sure that you make optimum use of it. A family that eats together stays together. We have learned this from early childhood. And this belief is now being backed by research which highlights the advantages of sharing a meal with the family. It's important to remember that sharing a meal is not just about eating, but also about strengthening family bonds and making pleasant memories. Remember those days when dinner time meant conversations, cracking up over jokes, dishing out words of wisdom, and confiding secrets. No wonder Time magazine reports that more often families who eat together, the less likely that kids are going to smoke, drink, do drugs, or get depressed. But the biggest curse of the 21st century, television and gadgets, they have stolen all of this. Television has changed our minds. Television has changed our eating habits. Now everyone wants to watch TV while eating. Nobody wants to eat at the dining table. Some people even dread dinner time. Conversations with our families is minimal because of all these gadgets. We are wired. And even when the conversations do take place, it is stressed. A recent study on family eating at Columbia University reveals that family dinner gets better with practice. The less often a family eats together, the worse the experience is likely to be. Like kids who eat most often with their parents are 40% more likely to say they get mainly A's and B's in school than kids who have 2 family dinners a week. While sharing a meal, a kid learns many things. A kid learns how a conversation is structured. He learns how a problem is solved. He learns how one should listen to other people's opinions. He also learns to respect other people's tastes. Sociologists stress that the power of eating together is a kind of a vaccine that protects your kids. So, friends, it's time to switch off your TV, your iPads, your mobile, your computers. Go to your dining table at the decided dining time with family and enjoy a very hearty meal with your family. Jai Swami Narayan, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav Ki Jai. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And I think this is the perfect time that you can sit with your children and teach them some of the highest thoughts and attitudes for a more meaningful life. Teach your children that God won't ask what your highest salary was. He'll ask you if you compromise your character to obtain it. Teach your children that God won't ask what your job title was. He'll ask you if you performed your job to the best of your abilities. Teach your children that God won't ask how many friends you had, but He'll definitely ask how many people to whom you were a friend. Teach your children that God won't ask you about the color of your skin. He'll ask you about the sense of brotherhood that you lived with. Teach your children that God won't ask the square footage of your house that you lived in. He'll ask, did you convert your house into home sweet home? Teach your children that God won't ask how much money did you earn, but He will ask how much of it you used for a good cause of help and care. And finally, teach your children that God won't ask how many people or occasions you remembered in the journey of your life or the achievements you made, but He will definitely ask, did you remember me? Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki Jai. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time, especially when your kids are free at home because their schools are shut down. But mind well while protecting them from coronavirus. Computer obsession doesn't hit them. It's a mousetrap. A real story of an 8-year-old boy. He's a computer enthusiast. Hunting down real enemies on screen is his favorite pastime. At first, his parents were only too happy to indulge him. But a year later, his passion threatens to become a dangerous obsession. He's part of Gen X, as we call them. Chatting online and SMSing while surfing the net is irregular for these children. But while technology may have opened up new horizons, it can come at a cost. His class teacher says that his favorite game is a shooting one, where the objective is to shoot down as many enemies as he can with a pistol which is aimed at the screen. Thanks to unsupervised use by him, his obsession has resulted in blinding headaches, inability to concentrate, and an involuntary movement of his head from side to side. Even the medical fraternity worldwide is also unanimous that media multitasking could harm kids. A leading magazine in the United States quotes Jordan Grafman, head cognitive neuroscience, National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Strokes. He says, kids that are instant messaging while doing homework, playing games online, and watching TV, I predict, aren't going to do well in the long term. Experts say continuous media multitasking can overtax the minds of children. This can lead to irritability, lack of concentration, and hyper-excitability. A child in this state is unable to sit still. The threshold of boredom is lower, and they can, in the long term, display aggressive and destructive tendencies. The sedentary lifestyle which technology induces is also changing the lifestyles of Generation X. You would be surprised to know that teenagers as young as 16 are coming to doctors with adult diseases such as high BP, stress-related illnesses, and even strokes. So, take care. And parents, it's time that you clicked in what your children are viewing, playing, and downloading. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki Jai. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. Today's youngsters are bombarded every day with temptations that are visible but not always accessible. Those who have low aversion to risk and a high need to seek sensation take to crime. It's a heady mix of easy cash, crime, and the thrill of the game. More and more youngsters are walking on the wild side, ready to kidnap, rob, or kill in order to maintain expensive lifestyles. A youth kidnapped a MNC CEO's son to impress his lady love. A group of engineering students took to chain snatching to keep their girlfriends happy. 6 college going boys were arrested for shoplifting high-end mobile phones. You'd be surprised to know that even young women are taking to petty crimes to fulfill their aspirations when police arrested a gang of 5 youngsters for looting a jewelry store to the tune of rupees 80 lakhs. Unbelievable. One of the gang members was a 22-year-old girl who wanted to buy a bigger house and expensive gadgets. A study of Tihar jail inmates aged between 18 and 22 a few years ago says all young criminals had fantasies. Fantasies of becoming rich, omnipotent, and famous. They had big dreams but wanted quick results. See, actually, breeding matters the most. Such antisocial behavior is seen more common in children whose parents indulge in such behaviors. If a father has a drinking habit, a research shows that his son is 5% more likely to become an alcoholic than the one whose father is not. Another issue is a sense of boundaries. It is not taught to today's children. Not all children have role models in their parents who are just too busy in their own worlds. A 17-year-old stole a few lakhs from the cupboard at home and even bought a car and kept at his friend's place. Later when caught, he said, "My parents never spent time with me. I was feeling alone and thought I could spend time with my friends, but I needed money for that." So the society feels that the remedy is that a family system that is communicative, tolerant, and non-violent has very less chance of nurturing criminal behaviors. Parents must also help children explore their identities in multiple ways and not just educational or extracurricular performances. Children are to be valued, not just grown up. Parents must take care that their any word or behavior should not drift the children away from fundamental expected human behaviors. It is also very important to teach anger management to youngsters today, as this is the touchscreen generation, as I call them, because they want everything to happen at their will and touch. They are to be taught that real life needs patience and self-control to achieve. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज यूज्ड टू से दैट अगर आप अपने परिवारजन और बच्चों को संस्कार नहीं देंगे तो शायद एक दिन ऐसा आएगा कि आपको अपनी संपत्ति और संतति दोनों गंवाने का समय आएगा. सो नर्चर योर चिल्ड्रन वेल. जय स्वामी नारायण. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव की जय. Dear parents, this COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And when your children are with you for so long a time, you can definitely coach and teach them a wonderful mindset. You know, the world is divided between people who are open to learning and those who are closed to it. And this trait affects everything from their worldview to their interpersonal relationships. People have either a fixed or a growth mindset, and this happens from early childhood, the way in which they are treated and trained. Children who believe their personal qualities are unchangeable have a fixed mindset. And children who believe they can improve or change their personality traits over a time have a growth mindset. And people with a growth mindset believe that the future presents an opportunity to grow even during challenging times. Mindsets, they produce definite worldviews, but they can be changed. And children who are praised for their intelligence, they tend to adopt a fixed mindset and reject new challenges. So coaching and teaching about mindset to your children are the best ways to boost kids' self esteem. Otherwise, what happens when they grow? During the process of their growth, and after they're adults, when they actually get into social and work life, and if they have a fixed mindset, they tend to take each failure personally. They interpret any setback from being fired or being spurned romantically as a message of rejection. Feeling unwanted increases their low self esteem feel. People with fixed mindsets, they work hard to hide their weaknesses, but they believe that their relationships, their traits, and their partner's traits are all unchangeable. In contrast, people with growth mindsets believe they can change their personality traits. They think their abilities can grow. They are more likely to build on their talents. They love to learn and they feel frustrated when they are not developing their full potential. So, having a growth mindset helps people cope with stress. So, coach and train and teach your children to have a growth mindset. All the onus lies on you as parents to prepare the future generation. Jai Swami Narayan, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki Jai. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. Yesterday in part 6, we were talking about mindsets. Further in that talk, mindsets affect depressed people. Depressed students with growth mindsets tend to work to solve their depressions while maintaining their school schedules and their outside interests. Students with fixed mindsets become less active and involved when they become depressed. A study finds that children who are praised for their intelligence often tend to adopt a fixed mindset and to reject new challenges. In tests, they wanted to bask in their success and did not want to risk revealing any weaknesses. Students who were told that they had very high abilities did not like being asked to solve harder problems. At the same time, students who were praised for making an effort said they liked working on the harder problems. So, in these trials, it was proved that praising a child's ability even worked to reduce his or her IQ score, but praising a child for trying harder raised IQ totals. While mindsets produce definite worldviews, people can change them by learning new skills. Human beings can be taught how to react in new ways, how to face challenges, and think differently. Teach and train your children in this way. For example, when children with a growth mindset challenge themselves, they develop positive character traits. According to researchers, athletes or children with growth mindsets did not dwell on winning alone. They focused on the process and ignored distractions, enjoying the challenge as much as the conclusion. They learned from failure and recognized that hard work brought personal gains. In contrast, children with fixed mindsets forced themselves to win, to show they were better than their competition. When they lost, they were dejected. It is also not wise for parents to protect children from failing. Not being the best or failing happens quite often in life. It is a common occurrence. Let children pass through this process. Parents who focus only on being the best do not provide any substitute position for their child. If he or she doesn't win, leaving the child to blame others or devalue the activity. So in short, praise your children for their efforts and accomplishments. That is a growth mindset development. And don't praise your children for their intelligence and ability. That will throw them into a fixed mindset. So nurture your children well. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki Jai. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. The society has experienced that once youngsters they begin working, they drift away from their parents. One of the principal reasons for this is financial independence. Financial independence gives youngsters a sense of freedom that can lead to unintended ego clashes between them and their parents. Youngsters tend to become overtly confident about their financial gains and in the process end up hurting their parents' sentiments. For this, the tips are for the youngsters, they must never ever repeatedly make their parents aware of their financial contributions. Otherwise, that might make them feel less capable than before. And the tips for the parents. Parents must understand that at this age, youngsters have a lot of urging priorities to fulfill. They have an ambition. They want to run. They must try not to expect too much out of their children and yet guide them on occasions, if at all possible, on spending their money very carefully. Second reason is some communication mishaps. Unpredictable work hours can increase the communication gap between parents and children. This eventually may make the parents feel neglected. For this, the youngsters must understand that they must consider a meeting with their parents every day in the evening, during dinner time or after that, as one of the most important and most invaluable appointment of the day. Their parents at this age do expect this from you, that you sit with them, talk to them, ask them about day's happenings. And parents must also understand a bit that sometimes it is not just the quantity of the time spent with the children, because now they're grown up, they have their financial world, they have their social world. So it's the quality of the time that is spent with them really matters. So they must give their children their space and yet make sure that they indulge in some communication about his or her future goals. That is some constructive and productive communication. The third important reason for drifting away is guilt and tension. Due to the constant arguments and fights, youngsters may end up feeling disheartened and guilty. Ultimately, it affects the house atmosphere, which makes interaction even more difficult. Some tips for the youngsters in this case. First, understand that your parents are not responsible for your stress at work. Second, try and speak your heart out to them regarding your problems, personal or professional, rather than indulging in baseless fights. A couple of tips for the parents in this case is that never emotionally blackmail your child, because this will only increase the pressure on him or her. Second, help them to develop a mature attitude to handle the stresses of life and be as supportive as possible. This is how you develop a strong bonding with your young, grown-up, financially independent children. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki Jai. COVID-19, Stay Home, Joys of Family Life, Part 9. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And when you are nurturing your kids well back home in this vacation period, it is a dream of yours that your kids, your children, your teenagers grow into wonderful human beings and smart professionals of the future. For that, you need to satisfy their certain needs right from early childhood. First are physiological needs. This includes all types of physical needs necessary for maintaining basic human well-being, such as food, drink, clothes. Basically, such needs are satisfied. After these needs are satisfied, it comes safety needs for the children. These needs include the need for basic security, stability, protection, and freedom from fear. When they're kids, when they are in the early teens, they need all this kind of needs so much from their parents. A normal state exists for an individual to have all these needs generally satisfied. But after that, some important lessons they start. The third kind of needs which your children are expecting from you is belonging and love needs. That is, after the physical and safety needs are satisfied, the need for belonging and love emerges. They want to be loved. They want to be cared. They want to constantly feel that I belong. Parents must provide the sufficient umbrella to their children so that they experience this need. When this need is satisfied, meaningful relationship with significant others are established. The fourth kind of need is the esteem needs. During the growing up stage, an individual must develop self-confidence and wants to achieve status or reputation, fame and glory. This starts when he is in his late teens and his early youth, and when into his professional life, he's expecting a lot. You can help him at this stage. And finally, the final need is the self-actualization needs. Assuming that all these previous needs are satisfied, an individual needs that he wants to feel that he has found in himself something extraordinary. So he feels a need to find himself. Who am I? What am I here for? What I'm supposed to do? What is the meaning of life? Parents, by their experience and wisdom by this stage, can definitely guide their grown-up children so that they find solutions to a meaningful life. Jai Swami Narayan, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. COVID-19 Stay Home, Joys of Family Life, Part 10. Dear parents, this COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And for now, long hours that you are with your family members, especially with your children, it's time to discuss happiness with your family members. Because people are just as happy as they make up their minds to be. You would be surprised to know as parents that many schools are having courses to teach happiness. The course is designed to cheer up children and increase national optimism. Happiness classes will train children to be happy and will also encourage them to become more self-oriented. One of the leading public schools has decided to conduct classes in cheerfulness and contentment, as emotional gurus believe the time has come to teach happiness. But the biggest problem is that we don't know what really happiness means and how can I be really happy. For that, you need to teach your children the difference between fun, joy, happiness and bliss. I just exemplify it. If you wanted to drive a car at 120 or 140 kilometers per hour on the Mumbai-Pune Express Highway, and you get to drive it, especially with your friends, what you experience is fun. One step ahead, if you wanted to own that car, a luxury car maybe, and if you get to own it, and that too by your own effort, what you experience is joy. One step ahead. If you can keep that car with you lifetime, then what you experience out of that, in that particular field and section, is happiness. And if for some reason you lose that car, maybe financial reason, maybe a crash or whatever, but if you lose that car, but still if you can remain stable by just giving a thought to your own soul that I was not born with it, and I'm not going to take it with me when I die. It was somewhere in the middle. I got it. And I lost it. And maybe if I try again and put an effort, I may again gain it. Let it be that simple. If you can give this thought to your soul and remain stable and happy, what you experience is bliss, which is the highest form of happiness. Discuss this with your family members. Get opinions from them. And make very clear in your minds what really happiness means. Jai Swami Narayan, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai, Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. COVID-19, Stay Home, Joys of Family Life, Part 11. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. Sit with your children a lot and make them prosperity thinkers. Otherwise, they will naturally slip into poverty thinkers. If you have made your child a prosperity thinker, your children basically become a positive person who has faith under any circumstances in their life that things will work out. Your child has an empowered approach towards money. That means your child can judge and act upon spending and use of money. Your child trusts self. Your child is aligned towards things that are going to be gainful. But if your child slips towards poverty thinking, your child is probably filled with pessimism, with fear, and have a passive relationship with money. That means the child is unable to judge the judicious use and spend of money. Your child develops a low financial self-esteem, develops a low personal self-esteem, and that could be very harmful in life. So teach your children to be prosperity thinkers, not poverty thinkers. जय स्वामी नारायण। प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव की जय। महंत स्वामी महाराज की जय। COVID-19, stay home. Joys of Family Life Part 12. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And the biggest gift that you can give to your children is developing their self-esteem. And this is the best time for it. Teach your children that happiness is not the mere possession of money. It lies in the joy of achievement. It lies in the thrill of creative effort. But the common issue in the family is a conflict between the parents and the child's desires. Parents expect their children to follow their expectation and often use money as a means to blackmail them. What is that financial blackmailing of parents? It is that parents force their children to follow a certain career path or to join the family business without considering their children's personality, desires, and needs. This is called financial or power blackmailing by parents. As a result, many inheritors, they develop complexes around love and money. Children develop a feeling of dependency. Children also develop a feeling of lack of control with regard to life's choices. So let your children make a career choice, make a growth choice. Only then they will be independent and in control of their own lives. There is a reason that a number of wealthy individuals have decided not to leave vast amounts of money to the next generation, just because they do not want to distort their children's self-esteem. They want to give their children the joy of achievement. They want to give their children the thrill of creative effort. So think on these lines and nurture your children well. Jai Swami Narayan. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव की जय। महंत स्वामी महाराज की जय। COVID-19, stay home. Joys of Family Life, Part 13. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. A study calculated a mom's market value by studying pay levels for 10 job titles with duties that a typical mom performs, ranging from housekeeper and a teacher to a firm's CEO. They said that if a stay-at-home mom could be compensated in dollars rather than personal satisfaction and unconditional love, she would rake in a very nifty sum of nearly 117,000 US dollars a year. That is perhaps more than 85 lakh rupees per year. That's according to a pre-Mother's Day study released by Salary.com, a US firm that studies workplace compensations. The biggest driver of a mom's theoretical salary is the amount of overtime pay she would receive for working more than 40 hours a week. The 18,000 moms surveyed about their typical week reported working 94.4 hours, meaning they would be spending more than half their working hours on overtime. But still, if the factor of imbibing moral values in children is considered, thus making children an ideal citizens of the society, the pay would go much higher. So, stay-at-home moms are doing great good to the society because Napoleon Bonaparte used to say that give us good mothers and we shall give you a great nation. So a very great onus lies on the shoulders of stay-at-home moms to make India a very great country. Take care and nurture your children well. Jai Swami Narayan, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. Covid-19, Stay Home, Joys of Family Life Part 14. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. A study shows that depressed dads hurt their kids' development. Children whose fathers are depressed have smaller vocabularies than those who do not. A study suggests because these fathers, they spend less time reading to their children. So fathers, don't carry your office in your head back home. And don't transfer your moods to your children. Their lives could be impacted. A study says that children, they learn the first cuss words from their parents and especially from their mothers. So as parents, you must mind well the use of words back home and also the moods that you exhibit in the presence of your children. Take care while nurturing your children. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. COVID-19, Stay Home, Joys of Family Life Part 15. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And you know, family is the building block of any society and our greatest fulfillment lies there. Of course, one needs to give due importance to work. But if any society works diligently in every other area but neglects the family, it would be the same as straightening deck chairs on the Titanic. We all seek happiness, but what most of us discover is that happiness is a homemade product. If you have strong and effective relationship with your family members, whether they are living together or apart, the resultant good vibes and mental solace tend to overflow into all other aspects of life. When your family is heading in the right direction, you are better able to perform and focus at your work as well. On the other hand, if things aren't going well at home, it is difficult to be deeply happy anywhere else in the world. Thus, it is supremely important that at home with your family, you concentrate on creating a beautiful family culture. And the first important aspect in creating a beautiful family culture is seek to understand what other family members feel or think from their frame of reference by listening to them with your ears, heart, and mind. When you truly understand, then you can better explain your position or ideas. Listening and understanding is the catalyst that makes effectiveness possible. So one member when talking, all the other members have to listen, not interrupt, not break them in between. When you listen to understand, you create an effectiveness of bonding. So listen to understand, not just to answer. Nurture your family well. जय स्वामीनारायण. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव की जय. महंत स्वामी महाराज की जय. COVID-19, stay home. Joys of family life, part 16. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And it's time to nurture your family members in a way that you become a very happy family. For that, as a responsible elder of the family, you need to be very proactive. The power to make a difference in your family lies within you. And the place to begin is not with other family members, but with your own self. You have the freedom to choose your actions, and you have 4 unique endowments to guide your responses to people, situations, and your environment. First is self-awareness. Step outside of yourself and be aware of your motives, thoughts, feelings, and you can decide what you need to change in the family. Second is imagination. You can envision what you can be and what you can do. Third is your conscience. Listen to the inward voice, because your inner self loves each and every of your family members. So you always want to do good of them. So listen to the inward voice that prompts you to do certain things for your family. Develop it. And the fourth one is independent will. You can choose what you desire to do, and you have the freedom and the power to do it. So do it now. Do much good to your family. You have the power to change the family culture into a permanent happiness culture. Nurture your family well. Take care. जय स्वामी नारायण. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव की जय. महंत स्वामी महाराज की जय. COVID-19, stay home. Joys of family life, part 17. We all say quite often, and we have heard, that marriages are made in heaven. But the fact is that they are lived on earth. So marriage is more than a contractual relationship. It's a promise from each individual to stay true to their love and commitment. While it's difficult to tell you how to choose the right mate, a simple advice is that you determine what your values and principles are, and accordingly, who might be the very right complementary companion. Write down a statement outlining what is important to you, how you envision marriage, and what family, the word, actually means for you. And when the time is right, share this with your companion and encourage him or her to do the same. See, happy marriages don't just happen. They're created with mind, heart, and spirit. No one can afford to get lazy in their relationship with their spouse. It must be nurtured and tended to. And when it gets off the track, as all relationships tend to, from time to time, we must correct our course and come back on track. You will find that going back on your own statement can act as the guiding force that brings you back, because you will live according to what matters most to you. One of the best ways of keeping a marriage and family effective and healthy is to have a proper definition, practically lived, of the values and principles that matters most to you. The important aspect of these values and principles is absolute faithfulness and a commitment to live together till the last breath of our lives. Pramukh Swami Maharaj often used to say that marriage is a very pious relationship and is meant for a lifetime commitment. Take care. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. COVID-19, stay home. Joys of family life, part 18. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And as parents, you are very much aware that more and more children are using bad language with abandon. And you as blushing parents don't know what to do. Kids don't get these words from school because they move around in their own age group. They overhear the role models like older kids, like parents, like domestic help, or movie stars. Blame it on the casual usage of the language among parents, swearing at home, exposure to television and cinema, and the blurring boundary between what is acceptable and what is not. The fact is that kids are cursing away to glory. In a seminar that was conducted parallel for the elders, for the youngsters, for the teenagers, for the children, in a group discussion with the children, the conductor of the seminar, the head of the group discussion, he asked children under 10 to fill up a form with 2 columns, what they like about their parents and what they don't like about their parents. You would be surprised to know that what I don't like about my parents, that column was very much full. A child as young as 8, he wrote, I don't like the way in which my parents treat my grandparents at home and the language that they use with my grandparents. Another kid of the same age, he wrote, that I don't like my parents fighting with each other in my presence. Another kid wrote that I don't like my parents comparing me with my cousins, comparing my academic marks with my neighbors. So as parents, you must mind well your behavior and your language. Otherwise, your children will pick up all this from early childhood, which is devastating for a good family culture. So mind well the words that you use and mind well the behaviors that you exhibit in the presence of children. Nurture your family well. Take care. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. COVID-19, stay home. Joys of Family Life Part 19. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And when the whole family is together at home, you have ample amount of time to keep a watch on what your teenagers read, watch, or search. This is very much necessary because teenage crimes are increasing day by day. Take the case of the 3 Ahmedabad teenagers who kidnapped a 6-year-old boy for a ransom of rupees 25 lakh in October 2007. The teenagers were out to make a quick buck and found inspiration in their favorite crime TV series. Unfortunately, their plans went awry and they ended up killing the boy. Then there was a case of a duo who allegedly murdered an elderly couple in Delhi after watching a film. In the movie, a burglar enters the bedroom of a house, hits the sleeping householder on his head, gags and ties him up, and walks off with substantial amounts of cash and jewelry. In the real life version actually, however, the criminals killed their elderly victims. So copycat crime is common nowadays. But the big question is, what prompts a teenager to turn a story into a real life crime? The answer is, after the teenager has read the crime and fantasized about it for long enough, it stops being a high for him. That's when he wants to act it out, just in order to keep up the high. Another reason is that the germ of an idea is usually already there in the mind of a potential criminal. Fiction merely helps him fill in the gaps. So as parents, mind well and keep a very, very strict vigil on what your children and teenagers read, watch, and search. Nurture your family well. Take care. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. COVID-19. Stay home. Joys of Family Life Part 20. In continuation of the talk that we had yesterday, parents must keep a very strict vigil on their children and teenagers about what they read, watch, and search. You would be surprised to know as parents that an Iranian serial killer named Mahin admitted that she found inspiration for her 6 murders in crime writer Agatha Christie's popular novels. In another incident, 3 teenage boys enacted a World Wrestling Federation WWF championship scene straight off from the TV. They pounded a child WWF style, maiming him for life. They even made sure there was background music that corresponded to WWF. For them, it was just an enactment of their fantasy. An interesting analysis of the criminal mind of a teenager finds that most of them are trying to achieve something they cannot in real life. They say there are 2 categories of these teenage criminals. One with repressed minds. They are not able to get something in life and think they can achieve it if they enact a scene from a film, a TV series, or a book. The other is the impressionable mind, who is out to make a quick buck. It just needs a formula to follow. The inspiration need not always come from films or TV. Even a newspaper report can trigger an idea for a successful heist or chain snatching. One can never know what will trigger a teenager's fantasy. It can be anything. A NGO studied small group of sexual offenders in their teens and found that pornography was not, though directly responsible for the incidences of rape, but definitely contributed to it. When offenders watch pornography, they think that in real life too, the woman will act in the same way as in the film, which is never the case. So parents mind well and keep a very strict vigil on your children and teenagers, what they read, watch, and search. Nurture your family well. Take care. Jai Swami Narayan. Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav ki jai. Mahant Swami Maharaj ki jai. COVID-19. Stay home. Joys of Family Life Part 21. Dear parents, COVID-19 gives you ample amount of time with your family. And this is the ideal time where you can teach your children absolute faith in the existence of God, in the creation of God, in the all-doership of God, and we must offer our devotion towards the Almighty. If for certain reason your children are atheists, or because of certain thought processes of pseudo-secularism, you can teach the same things, that is faith, through logics. First teach them, ask them that let's not talk about God at the moment, but let's talk about things upon which we are fully and absolutely dependent for our existence. Example, air, water, sun, moon, mud, food, etc. And then tell them, none of this is man-made. They were all in the services of man, rather put in services of man from day one of our existence. Secondly, teach them gratitude, that we must express our gratitude towards all these natural forces. And this expression is called prayers. The Upanishads have taught us to pray to natural forces of our existence. Third thing you can teach them is make a plea, that is, urge them to take care of you forever. That is, you pray to the natural forces to take care of you forever. This is called devotion. Tell them that in the present COVID-19 crisis, if somebody is put on a ventilator, he knows what is the bill of oxygen. Then A calculation shows that it costs about $38 trillion to create oxygen for 6 months for all the human beings upon this earth. Just think of someone who is providing us free and will continue to provide us free, lifetime, guaranteed. And to you parents, if you want to experience God in the midst of your family, make God your family member and do whatever you do for your family for God as well. Like you earn food for your family, then likewise offer food to God first. Like you play with your children, you likewise play with God, that is, offer your devotion to God. Like you visit your children's school, you must visit God's school, that is mandirs. Like you meet your children's tutors, same way you meet the saints. This will all help you in invoking God's love, the experience of God's love in your life. Try it. Make your family a God-loving family. That could be the ideal output of your staying together with your family in such a long lockdown, COVID-19. Nurture your family well. Jai Swami Narayan. प्रमुख स्वामी महाराज शताब्दी महोत्सव की जय. महंत स्वामी महाराज की जय.